Yes, and being on time this evening. Aren't we so happy that the weather is like finally broken and it's like sunshine and warm breeze and it's here. Summer, spring is here.
So
I feel, yeah, it feels amazing. I hope everyone who celebrates had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I got to spend it out in Chagrin in the warm weather, and I also got to go horseback riding, which was absolutely incredible. Would love to learn from anyone else if you would like to share any Mother's Day plans that you had that you enjoyed.
I went to brunch with my son and my parents, and his sixth birthday was the day before. So I went to Cedar Point on Saturday, which was so fun. And the weather was amazing. So it was really nice to be out in the sunshine.
Love it. Awesome.
I enjoyed a lovely dinner at the table and the world's smallest birdhouse prepared by Gigi. And I had brunch. My friend does an annual brunch for all the ladies in his life who are mothers, because his mother is no longer with us. So
Mm,
I love that.
That's very sweet. Awesome. Well, this is our final meeting of the year, and we have done so much. And so we want to recap, right, this past school year, and basically get your feedback, essentially, so that we can always improve for the future. So we've done everything from like our regional events. We have a new entrepreneurship affinity group who have taken on the new task of building out our business directory, which we're so excited about, and can't wait to see how that evolves. We've done a group workout, which talk about workouts definitely broke a sweat. Tiana, you were there for that. You witnessed that. It was embarrassing. We've done our legacy breakfasts as we do every year, EDO brunch. And of course, we're also planning for Alumni Weekend. So we'd love to hear from you all. What feedback do you have? Like what worked well? And what would you like to see change?
We have a small group, so I know it's hard to put everyone on the spot.
I guess I have a question, and it's probably for Missy.
Yeah.
I have no sense of how the greater alumni has responded to these, and do we know how they've been received? I mean,
That do you talk about like the events we've had?
right, or I mean, does the greater alumni group know about the business directory at this point, or are we still
They
in?
don't know about the business. We shared that we're going to be creating one, and there's actually a call out for it in the new what was supposed to be the spring issue of the magazine, but the spring issue got moved to it, so it's really coming out in end of June. So
Okay,
there will be a page in there that was like, June, are you aware that we have affinity groups? And there's a blurb about the Black Alumni Steering Committee, the LGBTQ, and then the entrepreneurship one. And then
great.
under that will be like, also this fall, we're going to be launching a business directory, kind of like stay tuned for more details on how to you can submit your company's business. I mean, we've shared it in the newsletter, but we haven't promoted it widely because it's not really ready to for anything to do with it. But the plan is hopefully over the summer to kind of solidify how that's going to work, and then we'll really start pushing that in the fall.
Okay, okay,
And
great.
then as for the events, I mean, we promote those regularly in our newsletter and then on socials. And we do a survey after every event to see what people's feedback is. And I would say for at least like the bar class and like the Chicago event we did with the Browns bar, the feedback was very positive and people were excited that we did that. Um, and it's hard. It's like everyone kind of wants they get together for different reasons, but I think that's one thing that we took from this year was that it's nice to have like a variety of different types of events. Like
Right,
I think people really liked the workout class at the bar studio, um, and the yoga studio in New York. And
right.
then but like that doesn't appeal to everybody. So I think then when you have some that are more like learning for life type events, that balances those out.
So I guess my question then is, do we measure by attendance or do we just measure by the positive response from those who did attend? I mean, how do we measure our success? I mean, and I haven't, I mean, I'm not making a judgment because I don't have any idea how we measure them, but have we ever talked about that?
We haven't really. I mean, I always kind of base it on registrations and then I kind of do three things like register, like how many people are actually registering for it, how many people show up, and then
Right.
what the feedback during the event or after event via survey.
Okay.
And
Um,
Missy, would you also say that if there are X amount of slots available, right, then based off of that registration number or the amount of people who actually showed, if it's like, okay, we have 10 slots and 9 people showed up, or, we had to push people away, then that probably makes for a successful event, right? And
right.
contributes to it.
Yeah, like the bar class, we had to close registrations because we had so many people who wanted to come. So
Wow.
that
Okay.
felt really good.
That's
And
great.
but it is hard. Like I don't know, is that because it was a Valentine's Day event? Is that because it was a class that people are really interested? You just never know, really. But I will say, like the legacy breakfast, we brought that back this year, and everyone who came to that was like, "I'm so glad you brought that back. Like that's so nice. It's such a nice sisterhood moment. It means so much to me to go to something with my daughter." But even within that event, we had some people who were like, "Oh, you guys shouldn't do it in the morning. It's too hard. We should do it on a Saturday." But that was like a middle school mom. And then the upper school mom was like, no, no, no. Like on the weekend, I'm never going to get my daughter there. She's
Right.
17. She's not coming into school if she doesn't have to. It's very different. So,
Well, and then, I mean, the reaction to that may be that you just needed to split it up by ages at some point if you have the ability to do that.
yeah.
Who knows? Um,
Right.
and of course, there's always the magic of you don't do it every year because if it isn't done every year, then they're going to be more inclined to come if it doesn't happen too
Sure.
frequently, right?
Yeah.
Um,
One
all
thing that has really helped is we launched a new platform, which we've talked about on these calls, the Boost My School,
right.
which has made registration like so much easier. And we can build a campaign for each event and add photos and add FAQs, and we have a giving link right there. That has been, I think, huge in our numbers of registrations. Like we used it for even our early childhood grandparents day, and we had way more people actually sign up and actually show up than the old way that they used to do it. And like for instance, our alumni weekend, our registrations are way up this year.
Really?
And then we are doing that New York networking event in June, and that has been very successful. And a lot of people have made gifts, which we were not anticipating. We just kind of put the link on there just in case. And it was a lot though. I mean, we've probably raised $370, which I don't think anyone would normally have made when registering for an event. So, I think that has been instrumental as well. And we'll be using that for all events going forward. And it's nice because you can see who else is coming. So I think
So
that
Nancy,
helps.
what would have you figured out the magic? Is it just so much easier, or did we not have that before at all? Did
I
people have
think
to
it's just
call?
easier. I think people like seeing who else is coming. And I think it's just kind of like a one-stop shop. Like you can make your gift, you can register. Um, I don't know. I'm surprised that it helped so much with the grandparents' day, but it did somehow. It was
So is that the same platform that we used for our reunions, or a different one?
it's new as of this year. So
Okay.
we didn't use it
Okay.
whenever you last would have done something.
Right. Well,
Um,
that's ancient history, right?
uh,
Catherine, do you or does anyone else have like suggestions, maybe that we haven't already mentioned as far as markers of success that we could pick and utilizing in the future?
No, I guess only the ratio between how many people show up and who registers, but it sounds like it's pretty darn good, so far. I think bravo, Missy. I think I call that a success. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Elizabeth,
no, I was gonna say, one thing I was thinking about is just the fact that these affinity groups have started and are taking shape and steam and are attracting new and different members, and the fact that, they're alumni inspired, right? Like I know there's always the space for it and HB will support it, but I'd just be curious. I wonder if that could be, a greater vehicle for alumni engagement, knowing that alums can start them. Because one thing I was thinking about, I'll just like plant the seed is uh like an arts and culture affinity group locally in Cleveland. Because I'm always trying to go to, plays and shows and different things. And I wonder if there are other alums in the area who would be interested in something like that. So an interest-based affinity group, but I wonder if we could communicate that that's how these groups started. They were inspired by alums, they're directed by alums, the school supporting them. But I think those are successes.
yeah,
That's a great suggestion, Liz. I really like that idea because that would also cross age groups.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm excited. I will just buy a ticket to a show if I see it and go by myself because I love it. But I thought, wow, I wonder if, we just kind of set something once a month and then anybody, in town from any age who's interested in, that show, we get a block of tickets or something. So
Yeah,
idea.
I love that.
that may
And
be
we are,
coming.
Kiana and I have been working on we had a document, but we're trying to fine tune the document of kind of the guidelines for an affinity group to start.
Mm,
Um, because obviously if you're using like HP's name, like we have to keep it within our brand and making sure the affinity group's mission and goals are aligned with our mission and goals. So we're trying to kind of put together some guidelines now that it looks like some of these groups are taking off, which is wonderful. And hopefully we'll have that by the start of the new school year of what that looks like. And if you want to start an affinity group, these are the kind of, we don't want to be dictating anything. It's just more, I need to be able to report back to Fran, to the board, to whomever, like, this is what this affinity group is doing. So I need to know really kind of big picture what the group is working on and make sure that we're supporting you as best as we can. So we're working on that over the summer to get those guidelines in place. But I love the idea of an arts and cultural one.
Awesome. That was a pretty big topic. So happy to circle back on anything that you may have enjoyed specifically about the events that we hosted throughout the year or anything that can be improved. Any other like expectations or takeaways from this year that you'd like to share? And by expectations, we mean like, did we meet your expectations or just how else can we improve?
Well, I have a question and maybe I know Catherine, you've been working so diligently on this. The idea of the council giving and getting everybody involved, but also that the council's, kind of this fluid body entity. So how do we, how do we hold each other accountable and who's on the council, kind of those pieces. And I don't want it to get too, like in whatever. I'll just leave it at that. How do we do that with kind of a fluid group?
And it's a good question because, 2 years ago, I think it was, we implemented the form,
Hmm.
the commitment form for everyone to sign. And like that was supposed to kind of be like, okay, now this is our group for this this calendar or school year. Um, but it's hard. I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate to share with the group like, hey, this is who's on, this is who's made a gift. Like we wouldn't share the amount, obviously, but do we start saying like, here's the whole council, here's the column of everyone who's made a gift and the column of people who haven't made the gift? I don't know if that's appropriate to do or not to do, but I also feel like if you're going to be on the council and you've made the commitment to be on it, then you really should be making some gift in an amount that's meaningful to you at some point in the school year, or the fiscal year, I should say.
Elizabeth, I like how you opened it up by saying holding one another accountable, right? So it's never the idea or the intent to point fingers about, well, you didn't pay. It's just more so we've made this commitment together. And so just like you would in a workout, maintaining that journey, let me maintain the commitment of giving. And so if we're reminded of that before sharing a said list, if that's what we agreed on, if we agree on that as a council, then I think that it would then be a safer conversation. Yeah, rather than pointing fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just share, I think something that worked. It was just my 20th college reunion, and they were posting like who gave for the reunion, and that was helpful, right? Because people could see. And then our sorority former president, but maybe she's still the president, I don't know, sent out a big email and was like, hey guys, we're like #2 to this sorority, like we have to beat that, so it was just kind of this like rallying call to everybody. And then people were like, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I'll give now. It's just kind of one of those. So it was more of like reaching out and inviting in rather than pointing fingers. But maybe there's more opportunity that we could do, to extend a hand and give a friendly little tug in.
Well, it's really an interesting topic because my class went back for their 50th reunion, and when we were there, we had a tour of the primary school, which was still in the process of being renovated. And it was so inspirational that the class raised funds to name a classroom, and it didn't take any effort whatsoever because your whole point, Liz, everybody was rallied and so moved by what the school was able to accomplish. And I think you're right. I think that maybe if we worked harder to figure out what would be inspirational to this group, beyond, I mean, I think leadership and all of the sort of techniques we've used to date may just not resonate enough with everybody to move in that direction. I mean, maybe this is appropriate time for me just to say that we do have 59% of the group participating. So it's not as though people aren't rallying, but it really would be fun as well as inspirational if we could get 100% participation. And it doesn't really mean that everybody has to give a huge gift. It just means, as Missy said, to give a gift that's meaningful to them. Because every penny counts for HB. Every dollar is helpful. But maybe we need to think of something that's more inspirational to everybody. Whether it, uh, even if it's dedicated, Missy, right? It can make a difference because it just frees up dollars for that usage for Fran and the faculty use in another way. So I don't know. I mean, maybe we need at the top of the year to talk about that and see what people want to do.
And maybe helpful for the group to hear. So because you work with Lauren and Elizabeth, they give you a list. So you're aware of who is still outstanding. And then
Right.
you've been following up with them. I know Lauren and Elizabeth have followed up with them. And then you've also been following up with people
Right.
to say just a friendly reminder that our fiscal year ends June 30th.
Right.
And I think, one thing we're going to do again is we're going to look at the whole list of alumni council. After we get through alumni weekend, everyone will get an email and it will say, okay, like you need to decide, are you recommitting for next year? Or is this a time where maybe you want to take a step off? And what we did last year, excuse me, which I think we'll do again, is we kind of gave people like 2 or 3 reminders, and if we didn't hear from you, we're just taking them off the list. So that
Mhm.
hopefully, starting with the new school year, we'll have a group that is responsive, is excited about being on the council, excited to come to meetings. Because I think I think last year at least we were chasing people who weren't coming to any meetings, and I'm like, we're never going to get a gift out of, it doesn't seem like a top priority. So that's skewing our percentage.
Right, right.
But yeah, I mean, maybe it's something at the top of the year, does everyone want to come up with, and I don't know, Lauren, you probably want to speak to this more than I can, but like, does everyone want to come in on an alumni council gift, for something specific?
Can we do that, Lauren, without messing stuff up? Does it have to be unrestricted or can we?
It's helpful that it's unrestricted because then we can allocate those dollars to help pay for some of these engagement events like the bar class. Like it gives us a lot of flexibility. And I think it's, you know, it's on us too, as well as staff members, is to tell the story of what's happening on campus. And it's hard to, do that. Like today, the primary school girls had a putt-putt golf course set up in the atrium. So a lot of, they're kind of like incidental expenses, and the gifts that come from the alumni council go towards these kind of things that are happening on campus and outside of campus. So I mean, we can rally around something if you guys want to see, we're at a pivotal time. Let me just step back a little bit. We're about to go into the 150th anniversary. So we got a lot of things kind of coming down the line. So there are opportunities to rally around philanthropic support. So
Well, maybe we should talk about that over the summer and have some ideas for the council going into the fall. And how we maybe could make a special difference in the 150th year. And maybe we should use that as a means of communication when we go out to everybody to ask them if they want to rejoin. Because it's a very special time.
yeah.
And
And I
Lauren,
think-
let me ask you this, like if it was still unrestricted, like if they made a gift to the fund for HB, but then you designated, let's say, what's the one that's not teacher excellence, but the one about student like trips? Isn't there something that helps like
Yeah,
local-
we did. Well, it's interesting because Missy and I were recently in a meeting with the school community, and Fran was very honest. We're watching what's happening politically, and so things are good for HB right now, but there could be a point where we know that there are students who still need to purchase textbooks, and that is, there are areas underneath an unrestricted that we can designate to, for instance, we have the serendipity fund. So if a student doesn't have the means to purchase prom tickets, the serendipity fund can help out in that way. So they're underneath the umbrella of the fund for HB, there's about 500 different allocations that kind of go to this unrestricted support. So if we can present next year, if there's an area that resonates with the council, we can direct it to there underneath the fund for HB. But generally speaking, it kind of falls into all these buckets where it's needed most, and how dollars were spent throughout the school year to make up that. So
Does it fall under a category of student enrichment, or is that the wrong term?
Yeah, we have a lot of opportunities to assist students to kind of, get the most out of an HB education.
Right,
So if there's kind of a gap, we can fill that with various funds.
right.
But could you do something where to get people more excited about it? Could you say everyone make a gift to the fund for HB and say that you're alumni council and designate it to student excellence, and then we can promote that to be like the council raised this much money that's going to help with some student trips to Peru over spring break. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
it's still the same thing as if everyone just made a gift, but like it's packaged in a way that
Well,
maybe
yeah, and
people
I
would
would,
get behind it.
I would venture to say that we might say it will go to help the following 5 areas. You know, children, students who might need help with, you know, textbooks, or students who might need help going to the prom, or whatever appeals, and we'll have to talk about what we'd like to present. Um, what do you think, Simone? Does that make any sense?
It does make sense, and I like the idea of offering a variety, those 4 or 5 different options, or a pool, if you will, of categories that the funds would go to.
Mhm.
And either we just come into the new year deciding that, or maybe we give the council a little bit of room to vote on that. I would be open to either.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sorry, I had to go get a popsicle for myself.
Would you like to take it from here, Misty?
Sure. Okay, thank you. That was a great conversation, and I think we learned a lot that we can take into our next meeting. Okay, I have just general alumni engagement updates. The big one is Alumni Weekend is this weekend. We are all crazed but excited to welcome back everybody. We have over, I think, 250 people registered to come, which is great. And a lot of excitement around a lot of events. I'm especially really excited about our BCA and Black Alumni Steering Committee lunch on Friday. We actually are like beyond capacity for the space for the lunch. I think we've got like 27 people signed up for it, and we had to kind of put people on like a wait list or we're like, you can come, but like I'm not guaranteeing that you have a place to sit. So I'm thrilled by that. And also great turnout for the Basque panel keynote discussion with Mayor Bianca Motley Broom from Class of 95 on Saturday. So that was really exciting to see those. And really just, I think, a great turnout for everybody. So again, Boost My School seemed to really help with that and make registration a lot easier. And people seem to have less questions. Like we used to get all these calls all the time, and that has not happened, which has made us
Great.
very. So if you're in town, don't forget the Brown and Gold reception is on Friday night from 5 to 6:30. All the events are really open to any class year, but really the Brown and Gold is the one that most people come to. So if you can, please come to it. We've got heavy hors d'oeuvres and cocktails, and it'll be a lot of fun. And we've got some past teachers and staff coming back for it. So hope you can make it. Oh, good. Tiana just put the registration link. If you are planning to come, please register. That way we have name tags for you and we're not having to print them out at the last minute, which is always stressful. The other thing I wanted to let you know is that our 150th plans are coming together. So just kind of overall updates. In the fall, we're going to be launching a brand new website. We will also be rolling out some new, it looks very similar, but a slightly new logo for HB and kind of new branding, like they just refreshed everything. So we're gonna have some new looks going into the new fall school year. And then we will be sending out a postcard to all alums we're planning to do like a kitchen magnet of the school. And it will be kind of a save the date postcard, but also a commemorative 150th event card. And it will be sharing a bunch of events that we have coming up. So we'll recap this in our email to the group later, but I can just kind of blaze through a few different things that we have coming up. And if it's in a city where you are, we would love your help, either serving as a host or being on a panel. So we've got things kicking off on August 31st is going to be HB Night at Blossom Music Center. And we're going to have the Cleveland Orchestra is going to be performing the Lion King, what's it called? The Lion King underscoring while they show the movie. And so we're going to have like an HB movie night and discounted tickets. And there's going to be kind of like a gathering in one of the plaza for HB families. So it's open to alums, parents, current families, faculty, staff, everybody. So that'll be a lot of fun. Then this year, for the first time, Light the Night, which has been around for a while now, but it's kind of like a fall carnival, That has typically been just for current families, but we're opening that up to alums as well and also Board of Trustees. And that's going to be on September 26th. And that will also be the grand opening of our new playground. So it'll be a really fun family event. There's going to be food trucks, games, bounce houses, all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to have a bunch of regional events. And these will probably, we're still trying to figure it out, but we're still going to have maybe some events that are more like the workout class, but we'll also have these events that are more kind of learning for life where we're going to have a panel discussion. So we have one October 7th in Denver. Then there's going to be one October 22nd in Chicago. Then we have November 18th in San Francisco, November 19th in Los Angeles. And then February, we'll do something in Naples. Then in April, we'll have something in Washington, D.C. And then it will be the next reunion, so reunion 26. And then the following fall, we'll have Boston, New York, and Atlanta. And that gets us kind of through fall, winter of 2026. So more details on all those, but we'll definitely be looking to the council to help us think about who can be on the panel, help host, and what have you. So that was exciting to share. And then wanted to also share for Alumni Weekend next year, so 2026, which will be May, I think it's May 15th, 16th. The plan is to really elevate our brown and gold reception. So typically that's always been kind of, I mean, it's well attended, but a lot of classes also then go on to do a class party that night. We're going to really try to have people not do that and really just come to the brown and gold party on Friday and then do their class party on Saturday. So the brown and gold party will be a little bit more elevated. We're going to invite all current families to that as well, board members. It's going to be kind of just a little bit more elevated food and a photo booth and live music and kind of make that a little bit more fun and festive. And then we also have a bunch of ideas, which I think we'll share in our next email for everyone to kind of think through over the summer as we think about what we're going to plan for Alumni Weekend. But we put together like a list of ideas, and some of them we were thinking about having like a scavenger hunt around campus, and you could find like historical things on campus. And then if you get, you have to bring in like a piece of paper showing what you did, and you get a prize at the end. We were also thinking about inviting some past faculty back to teach classes on Saturday morning, which we thought would be interesting. And we would have that sent out well in advance. So maybe you have to read a chapter or something from a book, and then Mr. Henry would teach a history class, or I mean, an English class. Or we would have some homework you would have to do ahead of time, and then it would be like taking a class all over again. And then we had a few other ideas. So we'll share those around, but would love the council's thoughts on what would you find engaging coming back, knowing also that we've got obviously a wide range of people. So we would need to find faculty that is available, that was resonate with students, with alums, and just get your ideas on what you think would get people back. Does anyone have any initial thoughts on any of that? I know that's a lot to throw at you.
It was a lot. It was a lot. It was all wonderful. My initial question is just where can folks find those first few dates that you mentioned that are going to be more local?
They're going to all be in an email. When we send the recap to this call, we are going to send that email. It will probably be next week after Alumni Weekend. We'll have those dates in there. And then they will be, I'm trying to think. They're going to be in the new magazine this summer. And then everyone will get a postcard with those dates as well. And then they'll be promoted on socials and on our website. But for this group, you guys will get kind of the preview of those dates. Great.
Missy, I have a quick question before
yeah.
you move on, and maybe we already covered this, but is the council sponsoring, well, quote, like sponsoring the panel on Friday, the virtual panel, or we are?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is, and I can that's a good segue into Jeffrey Ann. Mindy is not on the call tonight, but she is moderating the panel. And our panelists is there. I think Erin Wolf is still coming. She unfortunately is not able to make it to Alumni Weekend now, but she thinks she can still do the virtual panel. So it's Erin Wolf from 1975. It is oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name.
Shayna
Say
Shayna Munoz,
Munoz
class
from
of
07.
2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
2007.
And then Amanda Kaskar from 96 are the panelists. And it's on advocacy and how
Cool.
so we have people registered for that. And
Is there
it's
a link that we can just now hop in and register for that as the council? Or do you have to go through the whole?
you have to go through the whole registration,
Okay.
but the registration link is in the chat, and
Oh,
you
good.
basically
Okay,
just have to
cool.
put your name in and then click off that's the event you want to attend.
Got it.
And then
Okay.
you'll get the Zoom link in return. And we would
Got it.
love the council to attend if you are available. It's from 12 to 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that actually covered that. So thank you. That was a good way to promote it. And now I guess I turn that to Jeffrey Ann, if you want to give an update on the affinity group.
Yeah, I was really excited to hear about the wait list for Friday's BCA lunch and for the event with Bianca on Saturday. So our Black Alumni Steering Committee actually will meet again on this coming Wednesday evening. We have moved from meeting once a month to every other month because I think in the beginning when we were starting to get organized, it made a lot more sense to meet monthly. But now we are, sorry, I just had a call come in, so I went off camera. But now we're meeting every other month and taking kind of the summer off. But what our plan right now, as we go into our next meeting, is thinking about the ways in which we want to make a contribution to the 150th celebration, and then also, gosh, I guess it was maybe last week or the week before, Dr. Sandra Golden, who is HB's new director of, it's some iteration of dealing like that, hosted a meeting for about, I think maybe 8 to 10 folks who are a part of either who are parents or alums or staff or a combination of those, to talk about ways in which we can leverage both our Black Alumni Steering Committee and also our parent group to, help to, enrich the lives of all HP students, particularly those who are Black girls. So we'll have more thoughts around that. And I am meeting, I want to say next week or in 2 weeks with, forgive me, I cannot remember her name right now, the woman who is the coordinator for the 150th. Rebecca. We are meeting, I want to say, it actually might even be next week. We're going to meet to kind of talk a little bit more about what we plan to do with our affinity group and the plans for next year.
Great.
Yep.
And then I know we also have a call with Clark maybe next week.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Gosh, so many things.
I know.
Thank you for that. Yes. So we have a call, myself, Sloan Cargill, a HB
Diane.
alum. Yeah.
Diane on the board.
Yes, I was going to say a board member.
She's fabulous. I don't know if you've met her before, but she's fabulous.
I hear all these wonderful things.
Very
I think she's a physician. And we are going to talk a little bit more about what we can do to endow our scholarship fund that's currently in place. And we still have, I think, Casey Lintern, who's kind of sort of waiting in the wings. So I think we're going to come together either next week or the week after to talk more about getting that fund endowed, and also, of course, alignment with next year's celebration as well.
Awesome.
So lots of good things.
Check out her Instagram, by the way. She does really good posts.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, for her business.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Can you drop that in, Tiana, if you happen to know it, or Missy? That all sounds incredible, Jeffrey, and wonderful progress has been made since even last we spoke.
Yeah.
So that's all exciting.
Yeah. You know what? I forgot to say this earlier, but I wanted to kind of just chime in. Sorry to sort of loop back to the top of the agenda, but I have really enjoyed the diversity of activities this year from Alumni Council, and I have noticed a difference, not in a bad way, but like in a really good way of the different kinds of offerings. So I love that. And I also love the fact that the meetings now shift between like a noon hour during the week and then also during the weekday and then also an evening like this. So um, I don't know if anyone else, feels any way about that, but I actually like that because evenings like this, I don't know if you hear all the crazy going on in the backyard in the background with my girls. So it's nice to have that option or the sort of rotation of doing something during the workday as well.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was actually one of our questions. If
Yeah,
people
exactly.
like having it like flip-flop, or would you rather go back to just all during the day? Or do some people like having it at night?
I like there's it kind of gives me a little bit more flexibility sometimes because if they were all, this is just me speaking, if they're all during the day, I know sometimes my calendar is nuts, and so I would hate to have that like, oh gosh, I can't make it because it's during the day and I have a meeting that's been scheduled. If it's an evening one, most of the times I know I can make that one and then can have more flexibility to make that noon time as well.
Thank you for sharing.
Elizabeth, good job registering. I just saw it come through.
Oh, and one more thing. I absolutely loved the legacy breakfast and the little what was it? The frames
Yeah.
that were sent out. That was awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Those frames, for those who were not there, we had our professional photographer take pictures of each like mother-daughter duo. And then the students in the Idea Lab did made frames. And we gave everyone their frame when they came in person, and then we mailed them their printed photo to put in their frame after. I'm glad you like that.
That's cool.
And then I think Elizabeth, you were going to provide the entrepreneurship update in Aaron's absence.
Yes. So we're getting rolling, which is exciting. We're meeting the first Monday of the month. And I'd say the two big takeaways of what we focused on is gotten the questions whittled down for the business form, collecting all the business information. So we decided start small, collect the basic necessities, and then we can expand beyond from there. Key additions, we thought getting photos of people if possible and their class year was going to be really important so people could search, who in their class. So I know, Missy, that's in process of getting sent out. And then we're doing some focus groups on Thursday with the students in the business and finance. They're not called fellowships anymore, are they? What's the
No,
right?
it is. It's
No,
the
they
bus-
are fellowships. Okay, in the business and finance fellowship, just to get an understanding of where we as alums could plug in and help as mentors, advisors, supporting what Naila is doing with the group. So rather than assume we know what they need, the hope of the focus groups is to just ask some questions, get them to share some stories and experiences, and then figure out as a group, okay, how can we support the students? And then I think probably the next iteration as we get that in the works is to figure out, and we've had some new members join, which is exciting, how we can support each other, the alums, in our entrepreneurial endeavors. So TBD on that front, but we're happy with the progress. So we'll be on campus on Thursday meeting with the students.
Terrific. And then I think, Catherine, I know you kind of already gave our update.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention that again, that 59% of us participated and we raised over $16,000. And the fund has brought in over 2 million so far for the current operating budget, which is pretty amazing. I got some stats on Giving Day itself. There were 557 donors who gave over $185,000. And it was a kind of neat stat that the alumni and parent classes ranged from 1947 to 2041. Seems like a long way away, but I guess they're around. And that we received gifts from 32 states, Washington, D.C., and Australia. So bravo to HB.
Bravo
They've
to
got a
HB.
loyal following.
Bravo to all of you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mhm.
that's
And,
very
oh, and
good.
by the way, it goes all the way to June 30th, so it's not over yet.
That's true. Yes. Thank you. And then Simone, I think it's back to you again.
Yeah. So in closing, definitely want you all to remember that as we are preparing for the 2025-2026 school year, we will have our summer kickoff meeting on July 16th. So mark your calendars for July 16th. And then the next day we'll be having our summer happy hour. So hopefully look forward to seeing you all there if you are local with us to celebrate.
And we'll, like I said, we'll share out a recap email after this. It will probably be after Alumni Weekend because we are a little slammed. And we'll have all those dates for the events coming up in the fall, and would love your feedback on, ideas you have of what we could do at those events, ideas around Alumni Weekend next year to really make it feel a little bit extra special for our 150th. And we'll also be sharing, a link to update your membership commitment, and also creating that directory again. So a brief bio and headshot. And we're hoping that kind of will help congeal our group a little bit even more if everyone gets to know each other a little bit better.
Awesome.
And then we'll also probably in that email set the dates for next year's meetings. So you'll have those too.
Yeah, that's
It'll
awesome.
either be in that email or like to kick off in the summer meeting.